Welcome to the RTC Ride the Chaos way of bleeding your B1 Reverb Seatpost streamlined for your convenience. Let's do this. Let's pretend that this is actually the Reverb Seatpost itself. You pull it out, and a lot of times what people do is they use the zip lines and they clamp it to the tire, right, like this. They're going to be working like that. That's not the way we're going to do it here. We're going to do it a little bit differently. I actually learned this from an amazing bike mechanic. Right now you can see I have a rigid Seatpost, and what I've done is I put a Ride the Chaos, you could put any sticker, over the hole, and I actually have pulled out the whole dropper Seatpost to work on it. I could ride on it like this. I like sometimes having this set up for the bike park, or if I'm going to go up into higher elevations, so I don't get the bubbles in the line and have to bleed it. But we're going to bleed it now anyway, so that doesn't matter. This is a really cool way to bleed your Seatpost. I have it all set up like this in a way that enables it to go really well. And one of the biggest things is that hydraulic fluid, you're not going to get it on your brakes, which could even cause severe injury or death, and it's horrible for your bike. It's all separated, and I can also ride my bike in the meantime. Here's another thing. You really want to think about when you're pulling out your reverb cable, twisting your handlebars, and as you're cinching it out of the housing of the bike, it should gingerly come out and you easily pull this, because if you snag this line, you're going to ruin the line and you're going to have to get a new one. Let's talk about what tools you need. You definitely need a RockShox bleed kit. Comes with this little baby bottle. I got a bigger bottle too. In your bleed kit, it has the zip lines. I just talked about the heavy duty zip ties that would tie the post to the tire. If you chose to do it that way, you're going to need 2 syringes. Then you have your high pressure shock pump. We'll talk about that later. That's going to require, this is an old school one, but a 9mm socket. That's going to take off that little cap right there. That is actually inside your Seatpost. We'll talk about that. 4mm Allen wrench to take off your seat, which I've already done. And I already marked my rails, so it goes back on easy. We also do have here your Torx T25 for the controller, and for these little baby screws, the T10, the Torx T10. To disconnect, you don't necessarily have to disconnect if you zip tied the reverb post to the tire, but if you disconnect the magic link, you need a 6 and a 9mm wrench. Really important. Gloves, lint-free rags. Make sure they're clean ones too. Don't use a dirty one. I also have shop towels. Eye protection is so key. Remember that this stuff is dangerous. It may squirt. You don't want to be greasy and get it in your eye. Okay, let's get into the process. Alright, the T25. It helped me take this puppy off and put it back on these old handlebars, just like I learned from my bike friend mechanic. One of the really cool things about having it done this way is we didn't have to take off our brake levers on our bike. Now, I don't have to worry about the spillage of the brake fluid, so it's a lot easier way to do it in my view, and you want to keep your reservoir really flat up here. Then you're also going to turn the speed to the slowest setting. You want it in the slowest mode. That's really crucial to an effective bleed. Okay, of course I already had my Seatpost all the way extended out. You should always, whenever your Seatpost is sitting, it should always be extended all the way out. Then I used my 9mm socket, and I was able to detach, Hollywood magic, the cap. I love using my Park tool bowl that's magnetic, because I'm going to put stuff in here that I definitely do not want to lose, especially these 2 bleeder screws here and on the handlebars. I don't want to lose them. Now we're going to carefully, using the T10, the Torx 10 screwdriver or wrench, we're going to take out this bleed screw and be really careful with it. Now we're going to go over to the other end. What's really cool about the Reverb B1 is that the bleed screw is actually right here on the routing. If this was attached to your tire with a zip tie because you didn't take it out, you would have a cloth over your tire actually as you took this out, but there we go. You see a little bit's coming out? That could be dripping onto your bike and very dangerous. So you could actually come in right now and touch it up. Little touch up with some isopropyl alcohol. Spraying it on here. And I'm just making sure that none of this stuff is gonna affect the longevity of my B1 Seatpost. With the syringes, I already filled up my 20 milliliters. Now I'm gonna do my 5. You can see how I'm using this big guy at home, and this one is for my snap bag on the road. Now, when I do it, you push it all the way down, you pull it back up. I only need 5, so I'm going to push a good chunk back in. Now I'm going to shake this puppy off, and I'm going to invert it. When we're doing this, you can see there's actually a big bubble in there. That is a nightmare. That is what we don't want. All right, I'm going to shake this puppy like I'm a doctor, flicking it. I like to take my time with this process because I figure, you know, it's kind of blood in, blood out. Bubbles in, bubbles out. So let's get the bubbles out now. Perfect. I'm right at 5. I love it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, the measurements don't have to be exact, like you're actually giving somebody a shot. But now I have my 5, and you can already see, dun dun dun, Hollywood magic. I got my 20. So we're going to hook these puppies up next. All right, the patient is ready. Going to the post, I go ahead and I screw this in gingerly. Oh my gosh, really watch out for cross threading. So I'm going to go ahead and start screwing it. I feel it. Screwing it, taking my time. And then snug, but don't have the anti-Midas touch. It's just right. And I'm making sure that I'm not dripping the oil. Let's go over to the next one. This is the 20 milliliter on the post side. All right, and now to the actuator. Very gingerly tightening it. I love the way RockShox has these all dialed out for you. And firm. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to start the plunging process. And I like how I have this set up because it's going to be really easy for me as compared to if this was zip tied to the tire. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to push this one down and pull this one up. You just basically do not want to leave either side empty. And by pushing the big one first, I've actually seen people do the big one on the actuator first, but basically you just don't want to leave either one completely dry. And here we go. I push down. Ooh, look at all those bubbles. I love it. Pushing down. And it's going up because it's just doing it on its own. Wow, there's even a little debris in there maybe. Okay, now I don't want to let it go totally dry. Now we push down with this one. This is actually really fun. Oh, I can feel it. I can feel it. And we're going to keep doing this until there's no more little bubbles coming out of the line. Tapping the line. Tapping the line. I have no more bubbles going back and forth throughout the system, and I got a piece of debris trapped in that one. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the screw in this one. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the post first. You're going to have some dripping, some excess. That's normal. And I'm actually going to set this over here, somewhere safe, somewhere away from my bike. I love that I'm not next to my bike. Okay, now I got this puppy, and I'm going to dry it off because a little bit did come out, and I'm going to replace that screw, that bleed screw, and I have it all ready. Okay, I got this. It's like a little bullet. It's so cool. Okay, I'm going to angle it in, and remember, take your time. You do not want to cross thread. That's solid to me. It doesn't feel over tightened. Since I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and give a little squirt of the isopropyl alcohol, And I'm really gonna get this guy all cleaned up. I really like to make sure that as I'm working, I'm taking my time. I'm kind of in the flow and zen-like, not rushed. If you're so rushed, then just keep writing your rigid post. Do this at a time when you feel like you could really enjoy it. I actually am having fun, and a time when you can give it your focus and your all. Okay? Now let's go ahead and do this one. This is a little bit more pushing of the fluid back and forth. What we're going to do here is we're going to depress the lever 5 times or as many times as you need to in order for this to come back firm. Here we go. Whoa, look at that. Now I'm going to go ahead and push it down. And there it goes hard. No, I mean, I'm not pushing super hard, but you push it and it's hard, firm in the actuator. And then push it back, no bubbles. Go right back under here. And then push it down. Push it back. I got a couple. Making sure that this is staying tight. It can come loose on you too. Push it back. Push it back. Some people are a little more neurotic than others, as you can tell. I love that I'm not doing this on my bike and getting, you know, whatever little leftover oil I have on my grips or my carbon bars. Now is the time to replace the screw, because this one's kind of like you're sealing in all your work. Got it right there, ready to go. I unscrew gingerly. Okay, put this with the other guy. I'm not so worried actually about the fluid as much as I want to keep everything bubble free. And ooh, good save. Definitely not a surgeon. Hands we got going on here. Boom. No cross threading. Went in like a dream. Snug. Just a little more. Yeah. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe it. And I'm going to clean it with my isopropyl alcohol. But I'm going to take a different part of my rag to do this. Okay. Okay. As you know, I've already taken off my seat and the cap. It's 250 pounds of pressure. This is something that gets left out a lot. Wow, I'm actually really low. I'm under 200 pounds of pressure on this. So let me go ahead and pump that up. Don't go over 250. Okay. That little air leaving is not air leaving the shock, it's air leaving the hose of your pump. I think a lot of you know that. I got my 9mm and want to get accurate. Use my own fingers so I don't cross thread it. There it is. I feel it. It locked on. And then I tighten my cap. Don't over tighten your cap. Okay, now I gotta disconnect my magic link and put it back in my bike. But once again, it's your 6 and your 9. If you did it the way where you had it tied to your bike, you don't have to do this part. All right. We reattach the magic link and fish the cable. It actually is going to go back in through the frame and it just easily pops back up. You want to bend the handlebars to give it less tension as you're doing it. Real easy. It pops up. Play with the cable a little bit. Make sure there's no kinks or curls in it. It's a hydraulic line. You want to make sure that it's maintained properly. Okay, so now the moment of truth. We push down and let go of our lever, and let's see how fast. This is the key. Nice. Okay, now that's on the slowest setting. Now if I go ahead and add speed, because a lot of us like it to go fast. Don't miss a pedal stroke. Let's try this one. We go down, let go. Wow, that is faster than when I bought it. It's doing incredible. and it came out great. I really like my method, and you could do it like a pro. Don't be afraid to bleed your own seat post and get it back on the trail as soon as possible. All right, ride the chaos. Yeah! Thank you so much for watching. You make Ride the Chaos. Please subscribe to my channel, and if there's any questions you had about how I did this, any questions about the process at all, or you have any problems, let me know. Any tips or anything you could tell me, like maybe not saying so much, that's cool. You can put it in there too. Thanks a lot. Ride the Chaos.